next week's a huge week in gaming. What's going on?
Yeah, so next week's a huge week in gaming. We've got, or not next week, but in 2 weeks, we've got Nova Open, obviously, which I know we talk about the 40K aspects of Nova Open, but for most of these boutique war games, Nova Open is their big event, right? Also, Nova Open's a huge Magic event too, by the way. But in addition to that, you've got PAX West going on. So I don't know if you know what PAX West is or you've ever looked it up or anything like that, but that's basically like the computer gaming industry slash Magic slash the board game industry's like biggest event of the year, and that's in Seattle.
Yeah, I had forgotten about PAX West.
And
I hadn't thought
yeah,
about that in a long time.
and the problem is like you're torn between two great events to go to. There's PAX West and there is the Nova Open, and quite honestly, my job almost sent me to PAX West for that conference.
That would have been cool to go and be able to see that and interact to that level. Like, are there other people from your level industry to that would be going to that?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, so one of the big things that we go out to these things to do is to interface with the private sector, to learn their techniques, because in professional wargaming, like all the challenges of a game need to be there, even though we're doing analysis on these things. So the games need to be easy to understand. They need to have mechanics that make sense. They need to have mechanics that are easy to get. They need to not be overcomplicated. They need to be entertaining. They need to tell a good story, right? Like all these things that are important in commercial games are extremely important in war games as well. So we like to go and play games and go talk to these people to learn about the industry standards and new things that people are doing or new things people are looking at or new ways to implement different things, right? So it's a really big learning experience for us.
Oh, that's cool. So we were thinking about what to do. I mean, I haven't been to Nova yet. I only hear what other people are doing, and man, I want to go to Nova. Most partly because it's like Wes gets the hotel rooms for us, and I hear about like, hey, top level of the hotel is just a huge bar, and it's just a great party. This is like a week of party. That is also wargaming and huge 40K event, and it's ultra competitive, and the GT is interesting too because they have an almost unique setup where every table is identical
Yeah.
at the 40K one, which is a really cool concept where it's like the two big L-shaped ruins and then the other stuff around it with like some magic boxes too, and it's very like you know what you're getting, and it for that the hyper competitive person, that's an interesting dynamic to be like, okay, I know exactly what the train's going to be. I know exactly the rule format, how everything is going to be done. The missions are already out, which the Nova missions are pretty cool as well. They share a lot in common in a lot of ways with the ITC missions, but it's just super fun, and I would love to go to that. And that alongside of it, it's affiliated. It's not part of Nova Open, right? Like Nova Open itself is not a charity. The Nova Open Charitable Foundation is a separate org that they're using the name when it's really cool that they can, um, and they raise so much money. I think last year, I think they I think they raised either 15 or 30,000. I can't remember the number. It's big. It's like $15,000 for charity last year with just the summer raffle, and they do three raffles a year, I want to say. They have like a summer, a winter, and a spring raffle. The summer being the biggest, obviously, and it's just great. I mean, they raise for multiple foundations. I think ours usually that the artist gets to pick what they want to donate to, and then there's the default of the raffle of like, hey, if you don't say, the Nova Open has theirs that they donate to. All of the All the Stiff Neck Studio ones are going to Fisher House, which David, I mean, you know a lot about Fisher House. I mean, you can probably describe that better than me of what they benefit.
Well, you know, I'm not intimately familiar with everything they do, but so the biggest thing that the Fisher House does is they basically provide completely 100% free housing, lodging. Well, obviously, housing and lodging is the same thing, but I mean, room and board is what I'm trying to say for the families, and not just immediate families, the extended families too, of soldiers that are in the hospital. And I don't mean just soldiers that are injured in battle that come back, you know, they can be veterans that are undergoing a surgery procedure or something like that. You know, for the military families that money may be tight for one reason or another, or they're coming hundreds of miles away for one reason or another, to be with their loved one, the Fisher House basically puts them up completely free and not just feeds them and houses them. They actually uh, they they take care of the emotional needs as well of these families with counseling and all these other sorts of things. They basically are the equivalent of like the Shriners, what they do for the families of children who are in hospitals that are from non-economic means to take care of their kids, but they're basically the equivalent of that for military families. So for all the people that they want to go and thank soldiers for their service, that's all well and good, but donating to the Fisher House can make a real impact, and this is money that's definitely going to a really good cause in general.
Yeah, and it's something that, I mean, for David and I are both from um, military family background, like grew up in a military area, and so for us, it really hits close to home of of the importance of it, and like most of the guys in the studio were prior service, and so they all understand, and so for everyone in the studio, it's a huge deal, and just for you when you're thinking about buying a ticket, you know there's there's not much of an excuse even to like buy one ticket. Like just buy one $8 ticket, maybe you get a Warlord Titan, right? But it's $8 it is going to pay for, I mean, $8, that's a meal. You're buying a meal for a military family member, right? For $8, right? That's pretty good. Because that's about what it would do. So like that's great. And I think it's totally worth it. And the model is the added bonus, right? The like the chance, like, oh, maybe I'll get it. It's the what you're giving is probably the more fulfilling aspect of it. So I think it's really cool. Everything that Nova Open does, I think they do right. They make it a great experience to go. Everything you donate or spend on experiences there, it's all worth it. Like great painting classes, great experience. I think they do a great job. So from that, I think too, man, so much has been going on this month. Like there's this, like there's War Games Con, there's Nova, there's PAX West, but then also we got Marines coming out tomorrow. So by the time this bonus segment, after hours thing comes out, like freaking Space Marines will be out and you'll be able to buy it in stores. People probably have already got it. Some early people have got it on their hands, but even for those that aren't, a Games Workshop manager or aren't a huge streamer that is getting stuff so that you can do reviews, or a play tester, you know, you, Friday night now, a lot of places you can already buy them. You get your local store, they let you get it early, and it'll be released. And you got what the main Codex Space Marines, and you got the Ultramarine supplement, and you got the White Scarf supplement, and they are cool. And there is one unit in particular that David and I are super hot on with all the changes. What's that unit, David?
Well, before I even say that, the reason why I laughed is as soon as you said something new, coming Space Marines, the picture that came up on the slideshow that you got was the trolling kind of image of the guy with the paint bucket and the paintbrush, and Yeah, I think the new Space Marine Codex is a total troll job, really. But yeah, no, I the new hotness in the Marine book. And shame on me for not paying attention to it with the box set release earlier this summer. I was busy with work, but it's the Eliminators.
Man, they're so good. They are so good. Why can't I find the news? There we go. 40K.
They're like,
Um,
it's basically if you're making a Marine list, you take as many as you can, which since they can only be in 3-man units, and you can only take 3 units in the competitive list, every Marine list starts and ends with 3 units of Eliminators.
oh yeah, for sure. There we go. So let me get to the eliminators. I mean, I'm also super high on another unit, but I mean the eliminators. There's not much more you need on these. It's so they are still limited to three, and that's like honestly, with how good they are, I think that's the main thing limiting their abuse and power, right? Is that you'll never have more than 9 of these models in your army because you can only take 3 of them in a battle in a match play game, 3 units, and they're you only can ever take 3 of them in a unit. So you only get 9 eliminator models max in an army. But for what you're getting, it's max these bad boys out because there's the default that came in the box set, right? The default is just 3 dudes with the bolt sniper rifle, which are all strength 5 now, by the way. With the new codex, they were, some some of them strength 4, and now they're all strength 5. And man, they are just so good. Shooting through walls without line of sight, with ballistic skill 3 at +2 to hit, so you could still move and hit and have an extra free, still hit on twos, move and hit on twos, and then you've got this hyper frag round, which is, I guess I would call it I guess it's like a heavy grenade because it's got the D3 shots like a grenade, but then it's 36 inches at strength 5. And you can throw it. It's like throwing a weird character grenade. Like that's an interesting one. And then I think the one everyone should be using if you can see the character you're shooting at, the mortis round, so good. Um, 36-inch heavy one, strength 5, AP -2, D3. I mean, that's this is the best sniper shot. I think maybe the transonic arquebus is a better sniper round.
I mean, in 7th edition it was, but I don't. It's so underwhelming. I don't even know what it does in 8th edition.
Yeah, I mean it does. I think it does D3 damage as well, but it's got like a much longer range. It's like 60 inches or something stupid that the arquebus does. I mean, it does have the added benefit of being fielded by a much smaller model, but you can't take nearly as many of them for as few points as you can take these eliminators. You're talking about what is it? 3 of these is 75 points.
So they're 18 points each, and then if you're just taking their normal guns, I don't think they cost any extra. But then the camo cloaks are what, 3 points each?
Yeah, 18.3, and then I mean I have those here too. So it's bolt sniper rifle 3.
Okay, so it's 18 plus 6, so 24 points a model.
Yeah, so 72, 72.
Yeah, I mean it's
72 points for. I mean, they're the best snipers in the game. I mean, people talk about like Vindicator Assassin, but I'm like, Vindicator Assassin is for 13 points more than a unit of 3 of these, where you get 3 of these shots.
yeah, and I made this point on the phone earlier today because believe it or not, guys, we actually talked probably about the Eliminator squads on the phone earlier today for an hour and 15 minutes by themselves. Uh, it's kind of offensive to call them the best snipers in the game because that's underselling all the things they can do and how good they really are. And so what I mean by that is, so 24 points a model if you take them base with the both sniper rifles. Well, they've got a new option. And everybody's seen this stuff. None of this is new info. We're just bringing the extra analysis to it. The las fusel. I mean, look at this thing. 36 inches, heavy 1, strength 8, AP -3, flat 3 damage. How many games have you lost because you got your anti-tank weapons that keep rolling 1s and 2s? How many? This ends that. A flat 3 damage across the board every time. At a good strength, at a good range, at a good AP. I mean, that thing is great. And guess how many points that gun is? It's only 15. You can put 3 las fusels in this squad and it comes out, what was it, 108 points, I think we said?
Yeah, it's 108. I just redid the math to confirm. Yeah, it's 108 points for 3 las fusels. And so that's the other way when you're like, if you're arming, that's if you're arming them all the same with the other gun option. The other main gun option is las fusels. And they're also amazing at that.
Right.
It's
And so like your Devastator squads can take one more las cannon. Your Devastator squads, by the time you do that, they cost what, 150, 160 points, something crazy like that.
yeah, it's
And
I think it's 160 now for a unit of 5 with 4 las cannons and a cherub.
right,
It's 160 or 180. I can't remember. No, it's 180. It's 180 for 4 las cannons, a cherub, and the sergeant.
right. So these guys just aren't snipers. They're also truly heavy support because you give them you take all 3 with the las fusels and you're already clocking in way less points and more consistent anti-tank than you would with the Devastators. But you're also getting concealed positions, which basically is deep strike. Devastators don't get that. You get the camo cloak ability, which gives these guys a 1+ armor save in cover, which if you're not running these guys in cover, God have mercy on your soul. Uh
Man, freaking Raven Guard eliminators.
yeah, well, let's not get into all the details yet. I mean, take it one stage at a time here. And then on top of all that, right? Okay, so the Devastator Sergeant can re-roll one hit or miss. Well, this squad has the guided aim rule, which is bananas, right? So you can basically add 1 to the hit and wound roll. So you may say, yeah, but those las cannons are strength 9. Eliminators don't care. They are basically las cannons if the sergeant doesn't shoot. And if your sergeant's never going to shoot in your build, he doesn't have to take the las fusel either. Everybody doesn't have to take the same weapon, like in a lot of squads. They can individually take their own things. In fact, if you have the guys taking the las fusels, he should be taking the instigator bolt carbine. You want to tell him about that?
Yeah, so the instigator bolt carbine, pardon me that I didn't look up to make sure. So it's 5 points. Um, so
Yes. So you
so
get the
you,
squad for 98 points, basically. It's
yeah,
10
so
less.
yeah, so for 98 points, so the instigator bolt carbine, when you look at itself, right, you got 24-inch assault 1, strength 4, um, AP -1, 2 damage. That is also a sniper rifle. Still, so you got a shorter range like sniper rifle thing for it, so it's still good. It'll still kill. It'll still do work over the game. When you got 3 of these units, they'll do work against almost every support characters are worried about this because you need 2 out of 3 of them to wound, and the sergeants will kill a character and still do the sniper role. But with the guided with the guided aim on this, right, you could just not shoot and get your pluses to hit, and so you're continuing that discussion part on it. You're you're hitting flyers still, even with all the stacking negatives, you're hitting Eldar flyers on 4s still. Um,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that yet. I mean, yeah, I mean, with the guided aim, the Razor Wing Dark Eldar jet fighters, those things are toast. I mean, 2 hits from 2 las fusels and -3 AP will go right through these guys.
yeah, it's hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s.
Yeah.
Um, -3 AP. So do they have an invuln, right? They have like a 5-up invuln.
Well, no. So the Razor Wing jet fighters for the Dark Eldar don't. have a native -1 that stacks except for the supersonic. So
So they just get their 6-up armor
right, so they would just get the 6-up armor, but against a Razor Wing jet fighter, you're not shooting them at a 4-up, you're shooting them at a 3-up after the guided aim roll.
on a 3-up. So normally they're hitting on threes. They'd be hitting on twos, and then the Razor Wing. But you could theoretically stack an additional one on there with a stratagem, right? To give it an additional
Yeah,
minus
you can,
thing.
but that that gets really expensive. I mean, when I'm playing Dark Eldar, I am absolutely on the first turn gonna do my lightning reflexes to make you a little bit less accurate on the first thing you shoot, just for consistency. But I'm not gonna keep doing that as the game goes on because it's 2 command points every time I do it.
Yeah, and so you get that. But then it gets better because to incentivize you to do the mix um, las fusel instigator bolt carbine or bolt sniper rifle bolt carbine is covering fire, which is maybe the bane of every bloodletter bomb. And anyone that's like, I'm gonna deep strike in this open space in your backfield and then charge you and kill your backfield support units is this guy when as long as they can fire Overwatch. And so that's the one thing. The Instigator Bolt Carbine needs line of sight. So as long as he's got line of sight on you, he shoots you. He does not have to hit you. All he has to do is shoot, and the unit can move up to 6 inches, which is their current movement. Before you get to roll your charges.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
for all the fantasy players out there, this is the only mechanic in the game that gives you the old flee.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're gonna charge me? Well, I flee. Can you still make your charge? No. Well, then you fail. And in 40K, you don't even get to move at half or whatever you used to, right? In fantasy, you just stay still.
Yeah, so take that, Gene Stealer Colts.
Gene Stealer called bloodletters. What other craziness is like coming down and charging you from reserve? Honestly, those are the main ones. But even normal armies, you move up and you think you've got a solid 3-inch charge, and now you have a 9-inch charge.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing consistently that will catch these guys with when they do that is a unit that nobody plays with, the Howling Banshees. That's it.
Yeah, I mean it's just so nuts. And then also still like before, right? You can set them up in concealed positions. So I think that's the real um, the big two ways to run them. I think are the ones that you get maybe the most effectiveness out of is running that instigator bolt carbine. You do give up a little bit if what you really need are the las fusels because it's hard on the math on this one whether +1 to hit and wound is better than having an extra las fusel because you think having an extra las fusel incrementally to nothing, right? If you take 2 las fusels and then a sergeant that has no weapons at all, adding a las fusel gives you 50% extra wounds. Instead, you add a bolt carbine, which still has use, and you're adding +1 to hit and +1 to wound on both those fusels you already have. I think it's still you won't have a top end where you're never going to do 9 wounds with them, but I think you get a more consistent 6. Um, like I think the average is a little bit higher and more consistent with 2 las fusel and an instigator bolt carbine. I mean, we'll probably run the numbers at some point to make the decision, but I think the real takeaway on this is when you buy eliminators, if you don't have the ones from the box, if you're getting new ones, you need to magnetize these things because I mean, you could buy, you know, 6 squads of them, which I mean that's not out of the realm because it's not that many models. But I mean, just magnetize these bad boys because they are good, and every every conceivable way you can load these out, it's hard to say you're making the wrong decision. Like if you tick all three bolt sniper rifles and just take 9 of them, probably good. You're probably making the right call. La 9 last fusils, yeah, I can't argue with you. They're good. You know, a total 6 last fusils with 3 instigator bolt carbines on your 3 units. Yeah, I think that's great. Like none of these are bad. It's just maybe one of them is marginally better.
Well, and the cherry on top, right? This is going to sound really like wah wah. Who cares? These guys have bolt pistols too. Like, what the hell? They'll shoot you in close combat as well. Why? Why not? Games Workshop is like, why not? Give them pistols too.
Yeah, and they have the grenades as well.
And yeah, they got yeah. It's just it's all crazy to me. Uh, the thing about them that people will start to fear these guys is yeah, their offensive output is really good, but with concealed positions and the fact that this is a small unit that has very little points in your army, like we're talking about 5% of a 2,000 point list, maybe a little bit more than 5% if you do the 3 las fusils. These guys are great objective scorers. Now they don't have objective secure, but you don't always need objective secure. And these guys can go out and claim midfield objectives at the very beginning of the game. And these are like the perfect unit that does a lot of damage to the enemy, is a huge threat to their battle plans and their characters, but costs so little that when your opponent does manage to kill them, it's not going to cripple you. And furthermore, your opponent's not going to be able to just like look at them and make them disintegrate because these guys all have 2 wounds. They'll have a 1+ save, most likely. Oh, and by the way, you probably won't see them because most people are probably going to deploy them behind terrain and shoot the executioner rounds. So you're going to have to dedicate some serious effort to getting rid of any eliminator squad. And if they try to take you in close combat, they better be pretty decent at it too, because the eliminator squad's got 7 attacks. No, more than that. It's got 9, 10 attacks in
No,
the
in
first
the
round.
first round of combat, it's 2 each for the normal, right? So 2, 4, and then sergeant is 7,
Plus 3
right?
more.
Plus 3 more.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's 10 attacks total. Um, on with in the first round of combat, except for a weird situation where the enemy gets to heroically intervene into you. Except for in that outside situation, they'll have 10 attacks in the first round of combat.
Yeah. Could you
Uh,
imagine if they were Blood Angel eliminators and for all your hard work, they get to smash you in the face extra hard?
yeah, you're like, oh, do this is like, yeah, and also it's 10 attacks at strength 4 plus 1 to wound. But god damn it.
Your F now snipers. Oh, man.
And they still have a 3-up save. That's the crazy thing is like when you compare these to scouts, like I think scouts are good and they have a place. Like I'm probably still going to be running sniper scouts in my salamanders because I can't take 30 of these.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If I could take 60 eliminators, like eliminators individually, I would. And you would rue the day that you
Yeah, I was like, if I
played
could
me.
take 3 squads of 9, which or 3 squads of 6, whatever, like whatever they capped it out, the 3 unit Primaris usually either go up to 6 or 9.
Yeah.
I would. Like I'd be sitting here and be like, all right, well, I guess this is gonna be my las fusel squad with 8 las fusels and a carbine. Like, I mean, I think there's a really good reason that I think they made a good call on this, where it's like, yeah, these are really good. They might be overpowered, but because you only ever get to have 9 of these models, no one's ever going to be able to say like, "Oh, I lost because this dude had so many eliminators it completely wiped out my army." They can
Yeah.
never do that much.
People are going to say that. It's going to happen.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like, even if everything hits and everything wounds, um, what 9? You you could kill one knight a turn with eliminators with all last fusils.
Yeah,
If
how
they
that's
all
crazy.
hit and they all wound,
Yeah,
which is
you could keep
extremely.
Gilliman next to all 3 units and blow them away.
Yeah, or I mean, you can do what I do, right? Which is going to be salamander eliminators that like I don't need a Gilliman. I'll just like how many times do you think I'm going to miss when they have +1 to hit and wound? When, it's like, oh, I hit on twos and I wound on twos,
Yeah,
um, and then I get one reroll of the hit of a hit and wound roll. Like, I'm not going to be missing that much when it's only 2 shots per squad. You know,
that's in the stupid Astra Militarum commander. He's a dead man. The second he hits the table, he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about if you're talking about straight running loyal 32, that's rough for them, and it's a really hard decision for me on what I want to run here. I think I lean on the side of the bolt sniper rifle because the last Fusel, how awesome it is. I could run Hellblasters, or I could run awesome Dreadnoughts
Mm-hmm.
with I could run a Contemptor Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with 2 twin last cannons and the missile rack. Or I could run a Leviathan, and I could still get really good shooting on heavy armor targets and do a lot of damage to them.
Yeah.
There's nothing that gives the sniper power of these, and because of that, I think that's why I probably end up running the bolt sniper rifle. But I would never say like you're doing the wrong thing. It's like if you're sitting here, Blood Angel's like, I don't need snipers because I'm just gonna run up and punch them in the face and kill them with 60 intercessors and 18 aggressors. I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Do that. Like you don't really need snipers when you're just gonna like get in combat and kill them, you know?
And, and on that note, let's talk about the next level of these guys with the chapter tactics that
Yeah.
are involved. So let's cut here because I'm gonna go to bed.